Hi, it's Rob from Game Developer Studio. This is the changelog for GDS editor version 1.657. Changes in this editor version are primarily focused on the tileset creator module for the editor, which allows you to create full tile sets. So let's go ahead and create one of those. Let's just create the default blank one. So there's been a lot of improvements to this editor. Let's select that. So the first thing we're going to notice is the layout type. So there's been a couple of additions to the layout type. So we can see there's platformer layout, flat terrain, perimeter, and top down, and path style layout. So let's go back to the base one. As well as the layouts, there's the platformer style. So we can now have full perimeter tile sets on the platform, which is going to allow us to create complete top-down tile sets like this. Let me just pull one in from the library. So let's pull this into this scene, and there you go. So we can create really cool top-down tile sets with the full perimeter now, as you can see. So all these are editable features. All the textures are GDS editor textures. Let's delete that. So to switch between the two is pretty simple. Just change the platform style from full perimeter to platformer top, and you can now have top-down tile sets. Another addition is the highlights and low light perimeters that you can add. They've been upgraded. So I'm going to change this back to a platformer top. And let's have a look what we can do with the highlights. So let's go to the highlights palette and let's just add one. Let's set this as a low light, so just we don't want left and we don't want right. So the first thing you'll notice is that we can rename it. So before, when you had a list of low lights like this, it was actually pretty difficult to remember which one was which. So you can tag and rename now. For example, we can just grab this and we'll call it shadow, and now that comes up in our list as shadow. So if we add another one, let's add this as a highlight. You can tag, let's put it as a highlight on the top. There we go. So you can now tag any of the perimeters that you put on inside the palette. So before it was pretty awkward finding any perimeters that you'd added. Now you can see which one's which. So as well as the perimeter name, we can also change the perimeter paint direction. So what I'm going to do to show you this, so let's turn off the platform altogether. So we just got the block, and let's add a low light to this. Add a edge highlight, and we'll make it highlight, so we can see what we're doing. Actually, let's fill this. Let's set it with a texture. Let's set it with these bricks. Okay, so as you can see, we've got a perimeter around the edge of the tile set that we can fill with the brick texture. Let's just put the contrast up on that so that you can see a bit better, and let's give it a bit of a stroke. Okay, so we've got an outer perimeter filled with bricks, so we can decide which direction we want to paint that in the perimeter. So we use the fill target. At the moment it's set on the outside edge of the perimeter. If we change it, we can set it on the inside. So we can go outside and inside, depending on the direction that you want to fill. Another addition is the stroke destination, so we can put the stroke under or over our fills. Let's go back and set this tile set back to this. Let's just get rid of this perimeter at the moment. Let's give it a wavy path on the bottom. Something like that. Maybe that's a bit too high. And let's zoom in so we can see what's going on. And let's select the stroke. And if we at the bottom, we can set the stroke under. So if you've got like a very thick line join on your stroke, you might not want to see that on top of the fill. So if you select under, you can now hide that line join underneath your pattern. Let's double the size of the stroke to account for that. And now you can see that we've got a line join underneath, which is hidden. Another useful feature added is the extrusion. So if we go to tile map settings and we select the base tile set, which is the one that contains all the full 47 tiles, we can extrude and gutter by 1 pixel. Okay, so to demonstrate this, I'm going to show you without the extrusion. So I've turned the extrusion off. Let's go to slices and let's just quickly view the slices. As you can see, each slice on the tile set is 1 to 8 pixels by 1 to 8 pixels, and they just sliced 1 to 8 every 1 to 8 pixels in a typical grid fashion. So just so you can see that again, let's look at those slices. As you can see, it's just sliced in a grid, down and up, down and up. So if we go ahead and add extrusion, what the editor is going to do, it's going to take each tile and paint the edges around a 1 pixel gutter. So this is a common technique in tile sets. Most engines are able to handle this, and it prevents that tearing that you see when you tile tiles. So if we now go back to the slices and let's open this, so now you can see that the tiles are not sliced every 1 to 8 pixels. They're sliced every 1 to 8 pixels plus 1. So there's a little gap between the slicing, and you can see that that gap is a copy of the each edge. So there's now the auto extrude tool. So when you import this into your game engine, you'll see that you should be able to avoid tearing. So most game engines will handle this for you, or if not, you'll have to use the auto spacing feature. But I think most game engines allow you to automatically space it or account for this. If not, then just turn it off and go ahead without that. As well as that, I've also started adding some extra tile sets to the tile set library. So now you'll be able to import tile sets directly. Just typical tile sets. The tile set texture library is also being updated. So I've added, let's change that. I've added some more textures directly to the texture library. So you should be able to import these pretty easily. There's some good tile textures in there. And later on this month, I'll show you how you can build out a whole level using the designer. So that's basically it for this changelog. It might not look like much, but I had to rewrite the whole tile set engine to get the full perimeter and get the extruder. So hope you like it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your time. Goodbye.